Hello viewers, welcome back from that break. You're still watching QTV, the Gambia's first private TV station, and we are broadcasting live from the OIC Conference Center here in Banjul, where the Gambia is hosting the 15th OIC Summit. As you are seeing on your images at the moment, we are expecting the President of Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, who we understand any moment from now will be arriving at the Banjul International Airport, and everything is on set now at the airport for the airport ceremonies anytime he arrives at the Banjul International Airport. Like I said, this is the 15th OIC Summit, a global body which was formed in 1969 to promote peace and unity within the Muslim Ummah, and it has 57 member countries, making it the second largest intergovernmental organization after the United General Assembly. So the Gambia is hosting it, for the 15th times, and then for the 15th edition rather, and then because of that, all these world leaders, presidents or their representatives are all flying into the country to witness this important occasion where they will be discussing issues affecting the Muslim Ummah, notably the ongoing conflict in Gaza, where over 30,000 people have so far died since the war re-emerged on 7th October to now. And like I said, everything is set at the Banjul International Airport, for the arrival of President Umaru Sissoco Embalo. Earlier on, we saw the arrival of the Vice President of Cote d'Ivoire, who is representing the President of Cote d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara. Ibrahima Balde, thank you once again for joining us. Like I said, any moment from now, the President of Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, will also be arriving here in Banjul for this important summit.
Yes, Ali, thank you very much and welcome back. I just have to go and change into my Fulani Tengade,
That's what I'm saying,
for me to show, my identity.
Yeah.
It's people coming together because the Gambia, we have different people, different traditions. So we are all coming together to at least witness this OIC. Any moment from now, like you said, the President of the Republic of Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, will be welcomed in the Gambia. Well, he is a very true friend of the government of the Gambia and the Gambian people. The Gambia and its people, they've enjoyed a very, cordial relation between them and the people of Guinea-Bissau. And the President of Guinea-Bissau coming to the Gambia to witness and take part on the OIC summit, I think it's very significant and a remarkable one. Aliu, it's like things are going in full gear, and many people are now feeling that wave of the OIC, the happenings. We've seen leaders have just arrived in the Gambia, and if you can see the movement, you will really understand. It's a very important summit that is about to take place in the Gambia. So I will not be surprised to see, even people who are not part of the OIC body to, come to the Gambia and witness this great event.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Apande. We also received a communique from the OIC Gambia Secretariat Subcommittee regarding an earlier engagement, like we said. On the sidelines of the summit, we also have the bilaterals here and there. People tend to meet and discuss on how to forge, cooperation between between their countries, but also between their organizations and member countries. And because of that, earlier on we saw, the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy also signed a $180,000 dollar grant with the ECOWAS Commission. The grant, as we understand, is aimed at modernizing the Gambia government operations and enhance online services. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, according to the press release, Usman Ba, thanked the ECOWAS Commission for the unwavering support rendered to the Gambia. He said the $16 million is grant will help digitalize public service and promote digital governance in the country. On his part, the president of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Umar Aliu Toure, said the grant aims to boost digital innovation and empower the citizenry. He said ECOWAS has given close to $130 million in support, across various areas in the past 2 years, while assuring the minister of the Commission's continuous collaboration. Dr. Ismaila Cisse, who was also there, who is the Gambia's Minister of Information. I mean, also thank ECOWAS President for his dedication to supporting member states, especially the Gambia. He extended President Barrow's gratitude to the ECOWAS delegation. That's a press release from the OIC Secretariat Media Subcommittee headed by Lassana Tunkara. I mean, this also happened earlier on, I mean, a bilateral where, I mean, the government of the Gambia through the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy signed, I mean, $16 million is, I mean, grant with the ECOWAS Commission. Earlier on, you know, the president of the ECOWAS Commission was there. I saw him at the lobby together with his colleagues who are here for this important event. But how significant do you think this signing ceremony is?
Well, it's important, Ali. When you talk about digitalizing, I mean, this sector, it's very important. It's remarkable. It's fascinating. I mean, it's important because now we are moving from the old system to digitalization. I can see the Minister for Digital Economy is really pragmatic and very proactive in trying to introduce innovative ways in order for us to live our lives with ease. So it's important and it will go a long way. It couldn't come at a better time. You know, we're hosting the OIC summit and simultaneously you know, signing such a huge amount of grant that will enable us to ease certain processes in our system. So I think it's a great one, Aliu, and it couldn't come at a better time.
Thank you very much, Ibrahima Bande. Assalamu alaikum. Mbokk nga mi nang sedan QTV di len dalalat ne delsiwat nañ fi pour indi li nga ne mo nek lepp lo ne mo fi xew fi nga ne mo nek di OIC Conference Center waaye lepp lo tam ngi xew fale ci ak Banjul International Airport comme ni ma leen ko waxee rek suba inshallah di summit bi wara commencer fi nga ne mo nek OIC Conference Center bi aliaron gisoon ngeen nga ne mo nek Vice President of Côte d'Ivoire Koné exina mom already mu ngi ci réew mi and then hanma du yaga inshallah comme na leen ko nga gis ci screen si rek ki nga xam ne président Umar Seko Embalo bu Guinée Bissau moom tam du yàgg inshallah dina land fale ca Banjul International Airport xam naa ne yéen a ngi gis image ci seen screen si sun security personnel yi all on standby pour su ñëwee rek gars yi accord ko li nga xam ne moo nekk guard of honor bi so loolu ngeen nekk di gis seen screen si xam naa du yàgg rek inshallah président Umar Seko Embalo moom tam dina ex ci fii ci Banjul pour fekkee li nga xam ne moo nekk di 15th OIC summit bi mbani ngolo mel be QTV jube ka ngal bismillah jang ko ten ka plente moto nang just na live coverage ka men natali wolem this OIC summit mi an ko wala be kering Banjul sato ko ne sa fo ka fay di Banjul 15 OIC ka tum Banjul mo Gambia la capital oti nyin tembe no sa fo no ate mela inshallah ka me Umaru Siseko Embalo mi an ko atele mu president Guinea Bissau ate mela abi futana nang Banjul International Airport comme al nyal bala alla screen to those are live images from the airport mianako katande ko ate mela inshallah Umar Siseko Embalo ate fana ala kulunti label futana nang Banjul International Airport comment no ngaje Vice President of Côte d'Ivoire ate afruta already abe Gambia jang and then already Banku Jama Safono all the 57 member states of OIC it will be ila foreign affairs ministers are here and then be mianako wala mu nyaton côté president nolu wala bina kan sign pour que mabe soma summit ning mianako wala nyata kala jang and then memba nyaton kala wala mu his excellency president Adama Barrow ko nga fala nyaman Gambe summoning host from tomorrow President Barrow is going to assume the chairmanship of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation for the next 3 years so wala be kere intermento al nyabal ala skinto airport to atemela inshallah President Umar Seko Embalo ade fanambe futala jang pour que mabe ñing OIC summit la musidam ngon be ndar QTV bismillah mi ngarti kadi pour adade mo nganda ko dum woni live coverage of ngana ko woni OIC summit ngonda hedo do Banjul comme no ngonon yiri he telemon rek do wondo joni boyata inshallah sella jabi mo ganda ko wite Umaru Siseko Embalo nganda kanko woni president Guinea Bissau hewta toto Banjul International Airport boyata sella jabi inshallah bawto on jino mo ganda ko do woni vice president mo Côte d'Ivoire Koné on heti ha pare on do joni hamo Gambia do te mbrandi hande ay lambe kebe ngarat sella jabi pour tawere ngana ko doni OIC summit poddo fudade jango sella jabi inshallah comme no mbemi ni rek from Django ko fuɗɗi Django inchallah President Barrow ko kanko wonta chair of the OIC duuɓi tati garodi so ɗum woni ko ganduɗa ko hunde wonde fayida ko hunde ganduɗa Gambina e foof eɓen poti ƴettude e faaro pour holdere ɗam Gambia ko leydi famɗude kono sa daari he OIC o hande Gambia wona leydi famɗude like I said, I mean, we are now joined by Mr. Mbodj. Mr. Mbodj, just earlier on, we were just trying to discuss, I mean, as you are seeing on the screens, I mean, everything is set now for the arrival of, as we understand, the President of Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Sissoco Embalo. He will be arriving at the Banjul International Airport any moment from now. And equally also, we've seen also a bilateral communique from the OIC Gambia Secretariat, I mean, informing us that earlier on, I mean, the ECOWAS Commission to the President of the Commission, Dr. Umar Aliu Toure, and the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy to the Minister Usman Ba, signed a $180,000 grant, which is equivalent to $16 million, is to help in the digitalization process as far as the country is concerned. Your overall view on the attendance of Umar Sissoco Embalo, and the second one, just the bilateral.
Fantastic. I mean, we need as many presidents to attend, don't we? Earlier on, we were talking about, we wonder how many presidents will come. Perhaps some of them will send their vice presidents and the like. And given our relationship with Guinea-Bissau as well, we know that the president is coming over here within the context of the OIC. But still, it's nice to have President Barrow come and give support to his brother president here.
We are neighbors.
We are neighbors. That is why perhaps
anyone can be absent except your neighbor, because these are the people who should come and so yet we are neighbors. We should be there for each other.
That's it.
And that's why even Senegal, Jamai Faye is coming. He was here a couple of days ago, and he's coming back again. That shows that it's a decondor to Hewle.
That's exactly true, and this is what we've seen in the sub-region, in our region at least, haven't we? A few presidents are coming. But regarding the agreement, but this is what we were talking about earlier, that through these bilateral agreements, you can sign deals, developmental projects, as it were, in so many different areas. This is how you leverage, as it were, being even not simply hosting it. You don't even have to host it. You can just be a guest and yet be meeting other heads of state or government, and then you sign agreements that would be of benefit to your country. So this is it. This is one of the areas that I think that we can benefit a lot, because we said it earlier. Most of these resolutions, we've signed so many over the years, really. Then how do you turn these resolutions into objectives and then achieving the outcomes that you want? That will take time. But the agreements on the side, they can move faster, as it were. The economic aspects, the developmental aspects can move faster than the political, slower pace.
Well, I've also seen on a particular media house the list of representatives from various countries. I mean, some countries, their leader couldn't make it, but they've also sent representatives. They are permanent secretaries. They are head of government. I mean, I think it's institutions. So I think it's important each country to send at least a representative.
No, for most of us, I think representation is what is more important. What is more
important?
Because even at the UN General Assembly, you don't have all the presidents attending.
Exactly.
Sometimes you have just the foreign minister.
So once
some will even send their rep at the UN to represent them at the UN General Assembly. So for me, the most important thing is the representation.
Exactly.
Whether the president is there or not, the fact that you have the foreign minister attending is representing the government, Mr. Mbodj.
Absolutely. That is really what the key is.
Especially at the time when people are complaining about presidents making several overseas travels, trying to cut costs here and there. Sometimes imagine what it will take, for example, having Erdogan, that delegation alone. That will have cost a lot of money.
When you look around the world, everybody's complaining about the cost of living. So each leader right now, you really have some issues, some difficulty within your country. So it's understood, one can understand why the head of governments, the presidents, really, you're not going to have that many. They're going to send their representatives, vice president, minister of finance, minister of foreign affairs, and others. Those are the people who will come. But understandably so, and you are right. And when Dr. Cisse was here earlier, he said really for the first time for all 57 countries, they've all signed
I'm just going to make it for Julde. It's going to be a 2-4-4 process for Julde. You know, so I mean, I think
in the
244 process for Julde. So
Yeah.
I think she's going to get that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's going to be the host of the Gambia is hosting the OIC Aliou.
Yeah.
Lii mbégte la. Lii dafa war a nekk loo xam ne you know, képp ko nga xam ne Gambian nga war nga koo puugaroo.
Yeah. It's important, but like you said, li nga jëm waxtaan rek Mr. Mbodj parce que dafa am solo. I mean, dañ ko dee wax like soo xewlee I mean balaa keneen di ñëw be it good or bad foo naa ne sa dëkkandoor nga leen njëkkaa expect ne moom moo war a njëkkaa feeñu ñees ñu bari dañu wax ne président Mballo fu yàgg bi sawre war naa mën a ñëw suba waaye soo xoolee sa dëkkandoor su xewlee yaa ko war a jiitu because fu mu nekk nii mun naa am ñoom Mballo ñoom Sierra Leone ñoom Sénégal ñoo war a jiitu parce que ñoom ñoo xewle comme ni ñu ko waxee rek lii Afrique ñoo nekk di host Gambia day nekk di host on behalf of the African bloc so African njiit yi ñoo fi war a ñoo fi war a njëkkaat agsi parce que lii seen bés la seen xew la just that Gambia is fortunate enough to host the summit.
Absolutely. They know the affairs they rotate,
Exactly.
depending on geographical area.
Exactly.
So you're absolutely correct. For Gambia, the host there, really the new host on behalf of the whole continent.
Exactly.
So why this is it? Maybe dina easier when you travel than others nga xam ne ñu ngi xala sori. So here, no surprises then. maa ngi dégg tamit ne Sierra Leone, the president will come. Madabia dina ñëw. Léegi Guinée-Bissau fii. Diomaye Faye. So that's it. ñu ngi koy suñu gox gi nii yëpp presidency ku mun a ñëw.
waaw ñu ngi expect Mauritanie tam.
Mauritanie dina ñëw.
Togo as well ñu ngi ko expect. ñu ngi expect Sudan as well.
ak gis naa tam
Djibouti tam ñu ngi koy expect moom tam. Libya dégg naa kooku tam ñu ngi koy expect so. I think
it's going to be a very significant combination here. Mu ngi mel ni soo amee leader yooyu yëpp suñ mënee toog I think they should be able to table out resolution.
I mean, as we speak, over 100 have so far lost their lives, I mean, since the war started on 7th of October. But overall, the significance of the day today, World Press Freedom Day, because it's our day, so we must talk about it as well, its significance.
Of course, and talking about significance, we are also have some experience in knowing really the significance of press freedom, because we went for a few years without having press freedom, and once we regained it, one could see the massive difference. So we have to, of course, commemorate the day. But again, as you said, look at it in Gaza. When you look around, zone. But even places where you do not have a war zone, you know what I mean, they are killing members of the press, especially those involved in investigating stuff like corruption. Now that is really very hot. Like in Ghana, we had an example there, South Africa as well, possibly. So this is the precarious life really of a journalist. For some reason, we've become the enemy. You know what I mean? So it's a difficult life. Sometimes I wonder, why would anybody go into journalism? It doesn't have much money, really. And then you are a target for all sorts of things. People confuse the messenger with the message. Exactly. That's really what our problem is. So yes, while we will commemorate it, but really our hearts and minds are with people working under trying situations, trying to cover stories, to bring people the news, what is actually happening. So one has a mixed feeling, because there's really nothing to celebrate. Of course, in the Gambia, we are lucky now that we've regained our press freedom and the like, which is a fantastic thing. But when you look around the world, it's not a rosy, it's not a bright picture, is it, really? So I have a mixed feeling about it.
And Balde, for you?
Yes, I mean, World Press Freedom Day, I mean, it's very important, I mean, to talk about it and advocate for it. Like Mr. Mboj said, we've been living in very trying times, you know, over the past 22 years. We've all seen how journalism was sort of a timing bomb in this country. Once you want to go in for journalism, they will tell you, I mean, do you want to die? Why not you look for another thing to do than journalism? But let's talk about World Press Freedom Day. But I think it involves a lot as well, because the media, the press, they have a role to play to stabilize or destabilize a particular region or a country as well. When you are given your freedom to express yourself, you know, you also have to take the responsibility of expressing yourself the right way. We've seen all these media houses that we are seeing now. At some point, if they are not censored in such a way, they might cause things that are not called for. So once you are given your freedom, once you are given the access to operate or to say what you feel like, to say things on behalf of the general public, to inform the general public, but I think it's your responsibility to do it responsibly.
And Mr. Mboj, like
Ali,
you said,
I think you know that better because you are a senior journalist.
Exactly, because like you said, yes, almost 17 years in the profession, I have really experienced a lot within the newsroom. But I mean, Mr. Mboj, you talk about, I mean, now the environment is much more freer than we used to witness, I mean, from 1994 to 2016. I mean, when you look at the media landscape now, I mean, we have so many people now taking up journalism as a career. Where do you think we have improved, and what are some of the things that you still believe we still need to improve on?
Well, what do you mean? Improvement, perhaps in numbers. There's an explosion of papers, radio, and all the rest of it. But here, I'm really being very careful. You said a number of people have studied journalism, but what I hear people say is that I'm doing media studies. You see, we've got all sorts of names for it. We all know that journalism proper is a vocation. And it's got its own modes of operation, you know. So, and then take a reporter, you go cover a story, come back, there's the editor to edit. So you've got all these filters to make sure that you have a high quality product in the end. But now that is implicated within the wider phenomenon we call social media. So now people don't even know the distinction between journalists and just people in the media. That's what they call it. So we are struggling here to retain, to have some kind of credibility and authority, you know, because anything, you know, with social media, anybody can write anything you want. There's no editing, there's nothing, and you don't really have any obligation to be truthful or to check evidence and that sort of thing. So this is really the difficulty we are in. So the world of misinformation, disinformation, how do we retain credibility within this sort of madness, this public square, this digital public square now, with a cacophony of so many different
I think, Mr. Mboj, you said it right. I mean, there are journalists, very credible journalists, that are losing their credibility because of journalists that are not credible, you know. Like you said, we have a lot of media houses, we have a lot of online media houses. Sometimes these stories are not edited, they are not looked into properly before they disseminate the information. I think those are the things that are putting all journalists into one box. You know, once people see those types of reports, all they'll be saying is, I mean, these journalists, this is what they do. While you have very credible journalists, I think as a journalist, you need to go through the right process, the right steps to be able to practice. At some point, my colleagues will call me a journalist, but I normally tell them on this platform, I am not one. I have to go through the right training to be a journalist, because I am sitting on TV, talking, and at the same time being a journalist. It's totally two different things. I can call Aliu a journalist. You've gone through the steps. I can call another person a journalist, but there should be a differentiation between the journalist and the person working in the media.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Bande. Well, viewers, if you are watching, this is QTV, the Gambia's first private TV station, and we are broadcasting from the OIC Conference Center here in Banjul. And then, like we said, I mean, we are all set both at the airport, where I'll be giving you live images of the arrival of the heads of state, and of course at the conference center as well, where the summit will be taking place tomorrow here at the OIC Conference Center. Like we said, I mean, the Gambia is hosting this 15th OIC Summit, which is the second largest intergovernmental organization after the United General Assembly, which was formed in 1969. But the Gambia joined the global body in, of course, 1974 under the then former president, the late Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara, who actually this conference center here is named after. And, you know, after years of delay and setbacks, I mean, the Gambians are feeling proud that we are now hosting the OIC Summit here in the Gambia, and we are expecting world leaders, I mean, from within the region and outside to grace this important event here in the Gambia. Mr. Mboj, just ñu jéem a waxtaan tuuti si local language rek comme Wolof, comme ni ma ko njëkk a waxee tey la World Press Freedom Day, mu nekk dee boo xam ne dee bu am solo la, parce que dee la bés la boo xam ne def ñu fàttali njëriñi pour nga am media boo xam ne taskat xibaar ñoo xam ne am nañ seen freedom, waaye nag di fàttali nguur yi itam seen wareef si pour mun a gis ne dëkk boo dem rek nit yi nga ne loolu moo nekk seen waala si am li nga ne moo nekk press freedom, di jéem a mun a wax seen xalaat ñu am ko. Yow tey naka nga jàngatee bés bi soo xoolee fu ñu dooree Gambia indi from the former government ak léegi yan wëcceeku nga am, wala balaa loolu sax yow bés bi ban solo la am?
The press, the idea of the press, we have newspapers. So this is more important. Democracy more here. Democracy and press freedom, no year on no anger. Because in a democratic society, they need information pour ñu mëna évaluer legacy bi kan lay voter. Ki nekk in power naka la doxale.
So more you know, there is no democracy without a vibrant and pluralistic media. Okay.
So lolu mo tax press freedom important. Su fekkee ne dama bëgg democracy, press freedom goes to the very heart of the institutions you call the NAA. Fii nag léegi nga dégg ko xam ne media bi presse ñi ñoo yaaxal li ka bi ñoo yaaxal yi jóge na fii génne na fële waaye loolu really xalaate xalal la. Su ma gisee dëgg bi ma ñëw wax ko, of course I make a distinction here. Su fekkee ne def ma proper journalism, xam nga rek maa ngi just print anything, aw ma evidence and all of that, that's just bad journalism. Why I assume the best case scenario, journalists be definitely xam nga dem na to meeting bi or whatever, mu ngi def investigation, some am no evidence, some and all of that. su ma la ko joxee bul ñëw ne maa ngi yaaxal dëkkal bi. Deal with the truth. Not nga start the malign the messenger. See that moo tax léegi li gars yi ne democracy really culture la. am na nu ma war a mel. nit as citizen am na ay attitudes ma war a mel ak outlook. loolu moo dee enable democracy in the wider society. moo tax democracy bi naxari in some yenn dëkka ba pare mu perhaps easy in others because we are not like that we tend to be more dictatorial it seems to me more authoritarian. sa kilifa everybody dañ laa wax looy def. yaa nga yooyu lañ dee transfer rek onto the global stage. So this is the key. Press freedom dafa absolutely crucial. Journalists duñ dee yaaxa fen mënuñoo yaaxa fen amuñ fetel ñun suñ fetel mooy suñ fen or suñ fingers léegi with our laptops. This is not the problem. ñun liñ war a def kay mooy encourage ko ñu ñëw isil dëgga so ñu isile dëgg ñu confront ko and then deal with the rest. The bad journalism, yes, ñun sax ñu ne neen we will always be talking about that, try to weed it out. Waaye as li ma wax earlier ñu ngi in the world of social media. nit ñi tamit am na lu ñu dee wax anglais gullible xam nga naka laa koy waxee ci olof ku gullible nga xam ne dafa easy pour ngay gëm things. su ma gisee dara am on the internet li ma war a njëkk a laajte mooy lanay di source fu mu jógee then su fekkee ne sax ñun sax in journalism we do it su ma amee a single source ma ne damaa xaar I need a double source. You see, these are some of the skills of journalism pour mu xala óor so nit ki tamit moo war a xala tàkkaan am na lu ñu daan wax tàkkaan su ma dem social media ma xam naka laa ko navigate am na ni ko anglais yi daan waxee ñu ne you do not get your intelligence from the internet and all of that you take your intelligence to it. It will never educate you anything really moom information la rek lanay di value how do ideas connect. So if you bari di la ko wax so you take your intelligence to it so then ñu dee xas de waaye ñu dee xas tamit xëj na xalaatuñ ko bu baax xam nga waaye press freedom soo ne press freedom dem rek fàttal democracy.
Wow, I mean, there cannot be democracy, comme Mr. Mbodj nu mu ko waxee press freedom amut. Journalists yi dañu war a free ñu report foog naa ne loolu moom benn xel bi rek la journalists yi suñ mënut a report li nga xam ne war na moo xew lu nekk di xew si réew mi then there is no democracy. Waaye Mr. Mbodj man mënuma understand point boo ne journalist bi mënut a yaaxa mënuma ko understand. Because soo seetee history bu mel ni Rwanda won nañ la ne ñu ne la ne media bi moo instigate fight boobu noonu ba loolu tribe si ñoo lifen so it's also important pour ñu bàyyi xel si lan lañ war a report nuñ ko reporté because there are other information yoo xam ne mun naa am yow noo ko intene keneen dégginam bi dafa so it can be very dangerous.
Of course. No, what was going on fekk yëpp tas na. Hang on. Politicians definitely ñoo def ñu tap into grievance ñëpp xamoon nañ ne Hutu si ñu ngi yàgga am grievance ak with the Tutsis so li journalist bi def dafa tap li nga xam ne dafa exist waaye mënu koo invent. You really cannot invent hatred. How do you do that? So this is what I mean fundamentally really su fekkee ne the politics is going right. Really, journalists, what do? You cannot invent anything. You just tap into prejudices and biases and hatreds and that sort of thing. That was what happened.
So
why,
like
of course,
you
on
just
that level,
to build on something that is already existing, and then you feel ko and then
absolutely. So lima jema wanya like then they tend to joh too much power. Really, we do not have it. So first, I want the expectation. And so I mean a multiplicity of voices. This is what democracy is. Some people will do something that you do not like. So then the whole of journalism like the same. We're reporting in a similar way. I'm interested in the same stories. You are never going to have that. It's a marketplace. So when they Marseille, I'm not products bad. It's a marketplace. So man may consume. Man ma wara nanda. Liñ bëgg journalist def do ever hell. It's a marketplace of the good, the bad, and the ugly. Just like in law, just like in medicine, just like in any other profession, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Idi Amin Dada waxoon na de mu ne freedom of speech loolu moom mun na la ko garanti waaye after freedom after speech loolu moom du la ko garanti loolu it depends on you. So xam nga all those things are used by dictators in order to instill fear into journalists and media people as well.
So dictators, even with democracies, they're always trying to find some kind of laws to make it difficult. Just, you know, when you take, for instance, Britain, BBC, and either with the Conservative Party or Labour, they're always at war. They're always threatening them. We're going to take this license fee and stuff like that. So it's just the nature of, I'm not a news moy. Lo hamne amna mung ko hamne mung la ko nuba. I'm going to say this. Sayuma oye, so I'm oye. Pull my cover news like I'm not covering news. Yeah, that's PR. News tigi nit ki daf la ko nuba. Li ñoo jema nuba. Lolu moy news. Really? Saying la oye kai cover this a workshop kai cover it. I'm not covering news. No. And I will say that. Lolu the news. This is the issue. Mota dictators yi likuñ ko lig dañoo wax loo xam ne bëgguñ nit ñi xam ko ñun dëkk lañ fi yu mel noonu even démocrates yi ñoom it am na yoo xam ne duñ bëgg nit ñi feeñal ko loolu tigi mooy news nag fa la yëpp ne.
Because li nga wax ni I remember back then at the Observer I had this sports editor Nana Maketa, he is now in the US. moom bokk na si ko xam ne doo ko mos a yónnee press release mu publish ko soo ko yónnee press release rek fa mu jéem a lijjante because def ñu wax rek there is more to this press release. So like comme ni nga wax ni rek I mean the news comme ça nit yi waxtale mu ne kay cover workshop there is no news because something news dafa nekkal ne lu ees la something unusual loo xam ne daal somebody is trying to hide it. So while li nga wax noonu I mean when you look at the current laws loi yi nga xam ne ñoo fi nekk tam relating to the media yes naam dëgg la media bi léegi am nañ seen freedom nit yi mun nañ wax leen ne waaye loi yaa ngi fa ba léegi tam.
Wow, moo tax nag ñu ngi xara ragal. Because fu mu nekk we are not really protected by law. Because of the laws. Dafa nekk rek ñoom decide ne we wouldn't use it. It's sort of like a presidential privilege, as it were. Moo tax ñu bare ngi insist ne fuñ jaar ñu change laws yooyu. Dafa mel ni ki dañ bëgg a xaar ba am a new constitution ñu defaale ko benn yoon. But we have to say this. You can talk to them because in theory, in practice there's something else. In theory, they can apply some of these laws because they are still there in our books. So what ñu bare bëgg muy
well nañ waxtaan yëfi responsible journalism, responsible media. Naam dëgg la yes I mean we said we want to have that freedom to do our work effectively. But as a journalist I mean you have been in the media for many years I mean responsible journalism. Langa fone lolu mo nek responsible journalism.
Well, nga conscientious. I mean, first, of course, you need to go to school. You need to understand what journalism is. I'm in the hard stuff. How do you write a story? Lanway a story? How do you shape it? I'm got that mechanical stuff. Why I'm learning the values, the ethics, especially how significant journalism is or the press is to democracy. So, I work conscientiously, even though there are many challenges. So, I'm for instance a private company, private radio and all of that. Maybe you might depend on government putting contracts. How do you do that? Dama dey gis sa ñu jël journalist organization bu bëgg dem cover event somewhere, then they pay your transport, they pay for things. See, su ma bëggee independence tëggi, I cannot rely on anybody for anything. So ma ne kaay ma fay la lii ma ne ko thank you.
So in this case, lan moo war a nekk the role of media chiefs itam because I mean it's a media house and then amuloo the adequate resources you are tanga muna keep your media house running and then some of these things they are paying the media house like you said. I know it's just maybe like you said PR or advertisement sort of like that. And in that case they come in and say okay we are going to pay for everything. But then the role of the media chiefs in this case because you are trying to balance continuity and of course I mean the financial aspect of it.
it depends on what I want to do.
Yeah, you want to find salary, you want to get that equipment and all those stuff.
Yeah, people can form PR companies and whatever. That's all really the wider meaning of media these days. You can do all of that there. Su fekkee ne da nga bëgg a def conscientious journalism. See, man dama narrow down. Exactly, dama ko narrow down. So then dama bëgg a def conscientious journalism. I'm driven only by the facts of a case. Because some are just freebies, you know, like freebies. Then in my own head, I'm compromised.
Yeah.
So I've been a story, I will self-censor. These are the psychological pitfalls. So my job truly that kind of journalism. If I do not have the money to do it, I wouldn't go in it.
Well, I'm not tampona so tampona when it comes to the editorial policy. When the media has been their own editorial policy.
Oh, absolutely. Why?
Even the international, the big international media that we talk about, they have their own policy. There are certain things that they won't cover, they have no interest in it. Just like what we are saying in Gaza at the moment. I'm not certain media has the interest they have in covering the war on Gaza. Certain media has among that interest in it. So the editorial policy, the interest and all those stuff.
Yes, yang ko editorial policy.
Exactly.
Man ko ideology.
Exactly.
Kuneka am nga sa ideology. So what jëlee Britain, the papers and news outlets. Ideology gi moy they tend to support right-wing ideas and social policies and the like. Right-wing bugun tax torop, they are really for the rich. And left-wing ideas, they don't mind to tax the rich, but you have good welfare system. So the division is along ideology. What is my vision of social order? Could I have a vision of social order? Why not? In the absence of an ideology, then it's just the caprices of the owner. Then amullo a consistent, regular principle guiding your actions. Merely your interest will change. Then they change day to day, hour to hour. Then I'm that stable center. I need to have a stable center as a human being, as an individual human being, or as an organization, whatever. What's my identity? And I need to be honest and be loyal to my identity.
It's very important. I'm not a responsible journalism. You have to, prioritize accuracy, impartiality and integrity. That is very significant in whatever you do. Journalism. No so compromise it's a problem. But man, I'm not luma tuti. Aliou wax na fi dara. Bu nekkee ne comme tey yaa ngi war a dem cover a particular event ñu jox la pass ñu jox la yëpp at the end of the time yow da nga am that notion ne story bi dama war a make sure mu xaw a lifin maybe in favor of the person ki nga xam ne mooma indi so that next time this is going to happen. So how are we going to change all those things? Loolu dafa naxari Mr. Banjul.
Of course, the whole point why maa ngi wax yi mooy simply for journalists, pour ñu xam li ñu face. You know what I mean? Ma xam the pitfalls, the perils I face, the modus operandi bi ñu am nii, really. Then ma careful. When you are self-aware, you can see it, then perhaps you can avoid traps. You know what I mean? Perhaps you don't overdo it. Why? This is the key. Then you want to have what are our options? What is achievable? Man said, then boom a fool, fools my try to fool other people, you know what I mean? If there are interests, bearing on what I do, people will see it. You know what I mean? People will see it. So it's a matter of choice in the end, really. Education, training, experience, knowing what you want. In the end, you decide. I'm
not a media house, like when they don't report a particular story, many people will not believe until and unless they report. So I think
the market works in all sorts of ways. It's a niche. it's a niche audience, as it were, then you cater to them. You cannot really cater to everybody. It doesn't work like that. We said it earlier, it's a marketplace. So you have to have an identity. What is my identity within this marketplace? Do I want to bring out populist programs? You have other stations or TVs. They bring a material that is slightly tailored for the educated. So you have a whole marketplace. It depends on, lan nga buga, lo buga jahe, then deal with that, according to some integrity, obviously. But
so
you cannot
earlier on time, because I remember during the last independence celebration, they had that national dialogue and they were discussing on key thematic areas. And there was an thematic area which focused on media freedom. And then in their recommendation was for the government to start providing annual subvention. Annual subvention, to the media, like we have seen in Senegal. In your own opinion, do you think this is something that you will support, or this might still compromise, like you said, compromise the independence of the media?
I'm not surprised that they will do that in Senegal. They're really so French in many ways. No, you like man English tradition large again. No. You see, there is a subvention for something like the BBC. Well, let us be careful because the BBC was really a wonderful export, great British export. So ñoom ñaar yëpp agree. Do they really support any party, but perhaps more left wing? You know what I mean? So that is really an exception. Man, for what we have today, state institutions, obviously, you get your money from government, you will get stuff like that, the subventions, whatever they give the institutions. Private ones, I am not so sure. I have to be honest with you. It is a marketplace. We all do not have the same agenda. That is not true. We all talk about development. These are generic terms. They are abstractions. Always the trouble will come when we talk about, okay, when we say we want development, prosperity, and all of this, what actions would that lead us to? We will always argue over the actions. You're going to have different ideologies, maybe liberal approach or more state approach and that sort of thing. So you are never going to have that common platform at all. And when they give you money, they will expect a certain treatment. For me, this is really what I'm scared about, and the danger of compromising yourself when private accepts money from.
Well, I think I am. Wow. At this time, I have to disagree. I mean, I think you put your mouth where you put your money. You understand? So once they start subventing money and giving it to media houses, at some point there'll be nothing like press freedom. At some point, because they will control what the media, have to say, what they want the media to say. That's what the media is going to say. So obviously there'll be no independence of the media. So
if this is enacted to law, I mean that this is something that you have to give to the media, subventions. It doesn't in any way, you are going to control the media. But for example, I mean, you're giving, for example, the judiciary is getting money from the government, but it's still independent.
But that's still.
But what's the difference here?
Okay. Let us be careful here.
Okay.
The judiciary within the constitution, because we understand really the significance of the judiciary, so we want to give them what they call security of tenure.
Okay.
It's really difficult to sack them because they're really the arbiters. In a democratic society, when you have disputes, they are really the arbiters, as it were. They're neither this nor that. Well, in journalism, I'm going to have to judge government what it does. Minister of Finance, they've been giving this money. Where have they spent it? There's a lot more of evaluation of your projects, of what you are doing right now. It's more political. This is political in that sense. That one you've got to do with the legal aspects. Legality is just completely different from what is political. So here you're going to have lots of judgments about on all sorts of things. Because stories can come from anywhere, from any sector. So it is not quite the same to compare the two. A journalist, just as we said, you can have your angle or not. Whereas with the state, with the judiciary, you really do not have even a political view. That's really what the ideal is. You don't even have a political view. You just deal with cases, and they do not always deal with governments, individuals. Two of us, you go there, they adjudicate. So there are massive, crucial differences between the world of the law and the world of journalism. To use them as an analogy, I think, is to oversimplify the situation.
Okay. Jërëjëf Mr Mbodj ak Ibrahima Bandeh mbokk yi nga xam ne yéen a ngi seetaan QTV di leen dalalaat rek leen welcome back fii ci nga ne moo nekk di OIC conference center fi nga ne mu ngi fii ci Bijilo fi nga xam ne li nga xam ne moo nekk di OIC summit jotaay boo xam ne moo war a am fii ci Gambia fii la war a xewee comme ni ma leen ko waxee rek démb lañ commencé li nga ne moo nekk di foreign affairs ministers meeting bi comme dégg nga yéen a ngi seetaan QTV indi leen li nga ne moo nekk di opening ceremony bi comme ni ma ko waxee rek suba incha allah li nga xam ne moo nekk njiiti réew yi wala seen représentative ñoo fi war a teewaat pour li nga xam ne moo nekk di actual OIC summit bi xam naa commencé ko tey njiiti réew yi dinañ commencé di ñëw nga ne moo nekk Gambia fi nga ne moo nekk Gambia pour fekkee li nga xam ne moo nekk OIC summit bi bari ngolo mel be QTV jube kangal bismillah ko tenke apenti mutana jang ko tenke pour na daily live coverage nyatali wala mu OIC summit ni nyana ko wala be kering Banjul jang ñin tementem plante be sa dawra kayra wa jawara international conference center dula me yana ko summit o nyanta kala ñu dilantole ko nga